you guys are stuck listening to me for a while. So this is going to cover the West Coast Championship, the KBF Pro Tour, the KBF Trail 1 and Day 2, also Lakeport Bait and Tackle, and the Yakabass Chris Laird Memorial. We're kind of, everyone's following the same set of rules, so basically there shouldn't be an issue. You will notice the KBF rulings on a few things may not be as strict, but that's just how we have it designed. So if you notice that, say you've got 90 inches on KBF and 89.5 on West Coast Championship or Yakabass, anything like that, more than likely you have a deduction, and it's just a little bit more severe than what you would have gotten over at KBF. So just keep that in mind. We're all humans. If there's a mistake, let us know. We'll see what we can do to fix it. There's always that dispute period, so no big deal on that. I guess a few things to just knock off the list real quick. So first, we're still in off limits for all the tournaments. You cannot start on the next, or you cannot start pre-fishing until this Saturday, which is the 13th, I believe. So you can start at any time on Saturday. You can fish all the way up until Thursday. Thursday, you have to be off the water by 4 p.m. That's for West Coast Championship, Yakabass, and also KBF. So make sure you're off the water. That means you're off the water. You're not still a quarter mile away or a mile away from your launch pedaling in. You're off the water. There's going to be enough people out there. If you've got pictures, you've got video of people that aren't following the rules, let us know. We would be glad to talk to an angler or two. This is for big money, guys. We got to all make sure we're working together and that we're all following the same rules. So if you catch an angler this year not following the rules, you get them launching early, going someplace they shouldn't be, and you got pictures, send them in. We want to actually see those pictures and videos. We want to catch these guys because that puts a negative mark on kayak fishing. We want to make sure that that's not happening. So off the water at 4 p.m. You can launch starting at 5:30 on Friday. Lines in starting at 6. That's not 5:59. That's 6 o'clock, guys. So 6 a.m. you get to fish all the way till 2. Have your photos uploaded by 2:30. If you have an awards that day, that's going to be at 4 p.m. We're bumping it back just a little bit. We want to make sure you guys have plenty of time to get safely off the water, drive over to the awards. We are going to do it in Library Park again. There's plenty of parking. There's a little bit of shade, and it's right down the road from Lakeport Bait and Tackle. With bringing them up again, you're going to want to stop by at some point before the award ceremony. They're giving away another bait package, probably a rod and reel. They've been really doing really well to help our anglers out. We've got a few other sponsors. I'll let Marvin deal with those in a little bit. He's better with that stuff than I am. But go see them. You can pick up your Mussel sticker from them. Another thing with that, if you have a motor or you have a trailer, you have to get a Mussel sticker. They're $20. They last all month. So if you're local, you can just keep using it. If you're not, it's actually being used for the lake. Last year, they actually had mussel sniffing dogs out at a couple ramps. So the money's actually going to good use. So don't worry about that, thinking that the money's just going up into someone's pocket or something like that. It's actually being used to take care of the lake. We want to make sure we're keeping out any of the invasive species. So when you are coming from Southern California or across state lines, make sure your boat's dry. It's clean. No foreign plant material. Make sure you don't bring any of those zebra mussels with you if you have them. We don't want them here. And I'm not sure what consequences of bringing that kind of stuff in, but I wouldn't want to mess with those dogs if they find out that you've got a mussel or two on there. So make sure they're clean. Make sure they're nice and dry. For some reason, hit a freak rainstorm, just make sure you don't have any kind of plants with you. We don't want to make sure any of that gets in the lake. So you can get those stickers at almost any bait and tackle store in Lakeport, anywhere in Clear Lake. You can stop by the Canocte Vista Casino. And then I guess also State Park can do them for you. But my preference is always going to be Lakeport Bait and Tackle, just because they are going to be taking care of our anglers. It's a free raffle for you guys. All you have to do is stop by. You might be able to find those extra baits that you didn't know you needed, or that you just forgot a few extra of. So make sure you bring those. Let's see, anything else? Oh, licenses. You need to make sure you have a valid California license, whether it's local or you're out of state. You are going to make sure you're going to have that license. If a game warden stops you don't have that license, they're going to ticket you, and there's nothing I can do about it. So make sure you have that. It's also part of our agreement that when you are fishing with us, you have that license. So if you get ticketed, make sure we know first off. That way we can take care of it on our end. But you need to make sure you have that license. So don't even mess around with it. Let's see. I think I covered most of my main stuff. Oh, off limits area. So one of the things that we've been discussing is portages. The lake's low. It's not that low, guys. You're not going to have to sit there and launch, get into a skinny body of water and then get out of your boat to drag your boat over in another pool or something. We're not fishing that type of a lake. We are just going to make Rodman Slough at the bridge a boundary. So you cannot fish past the bridge coming from the main lake. So if you want to fish Rodman Slough, you're more than welcome to, as long as it's from the actual bridge to the lake. As long as it's there, you're perfectly okay. Anywhere else on the lake's perfectly fine to fish. The one thing that I did want to bring up is algae. It's pretty bad this year, guys. Some of you got to see it last year. Some of you didn't, depending on where you were on the lake. I would definitely have a second pair of shoes or a towel or something, because you don't want that on your skin. You're going to get itchy. You can get hives, that kind of stuff. If you see blue algae, leave the area. Don't even mess with it. There's not going to be fish there. It's choked out from all the oxygen. But that blue algae can actually kill. I don't think it'll kill humans, but it definitely does kill dogs, cats, and other small mammals. So it's definitely not going to be good for us to be breathing in or getting it on our skin.
It's bad news for babies too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stay away from it. If you see the blue algae, just turn around, keep going, or try and bypass it. Just get away from it. You're not going to catch fish there anyways. Anything you want to go over, Marvin, before I go over numbers?
You know, you were talking about the slough and the bridge. I mean, as I recall last year, like you couldn't even fish the bridge last year, and I think it's lower this year. So if anybody's planning on fishing that slough up there, you might want to cross that off your list. Yeah, the whole eastern part of the lake, the algae is going to be a problem, I suspect. It was last year. So yeah, plan around that accordingly. Yeah, I can talk about sponsors a little bit.
Hey, Marvin, before you go into that, can I take a quick second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, everybody, I just wanted to, I've got the website up for the license. So there's 2 out of residence, out of non-California, non-residence license options. There's, well, 3 actually. There's a 1-day, a 2-day, and a 10-day. The 1-day is 17, the 2-day is 27, and the 10-day is 54. Your best bet is probably Walmart before you get into town. So definitely get those.
Or do it online.
Yeah, or you can do it online. Yeah,
ahead of time. Yeah.
The other thing that a lot of people always forget, it's happened every year, is printing out your identifiers in advance. Marvin and James and I will probably have them, but every year we get hit up for somebody that forgot to get one. So just add that to your list of, your angler checklist as you're packing up your stuff, print up your identifiers in advance. And then, the last thing I just wanted to touch before we get into sponsors and then the numbers is safety. The wind on Clear Lake can pick up pretty quickly. So, as always, we're always supposed to be wearing our PFD. So make sure that you always have it on, and be prepared for, keep an eye on the weather and the winds, because the Clear Lake is a large body of water and white caps can come up pretty quick. So just keep an eye on that. And I just wanted to bring that up before we went down to the other stuff, Marvin.
Yeah, no, that's great. Somebody just asked me too about launching at the Rodman Bridge. I don't know that you can launch there, can you?
So there is a ramp to the sides, and you could launch here several years ago, but last year there was over 100 feet of land between Rodman Bridge and the lake, and I'm expecting it to be pretty close to that this year.
Yeah, it's a mud pit right now. Technically, you still could launch from there and drag your kayak through the mud. It's not going to be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's not going to be fun because
it was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad last year. I don't think anybody even, once you get eyes on the lake, you'll be able to see. And I think that as soon as you put eyes on it, you're going to eliminate that. From that amount of effort is probably not worth it.
Somebody has asked about a link to the identifier. That's on the website. If you go to westcoastchampionship.com and go under the, what's it under? Under resources identifier, you'll find it there. You can download it, print it out there. We will have some with us, but I mean, we're not going to have like 150 identifiers at the event. So be prepared. Get that printed ahead of time so that you're ready. And print a couple. Have a spare in your vest.
And that's a good point too. Is there's several different tournaments here, so make sure you understand what identifier is required for each tournament, right? KBF, if you're fishing the trails for KBF, is going to require KBF. The WCC is going to recover. We're going to require to have that one.
Absolutely, and which app you're supposed to be using, whether you're using TourneyX or Chaos. James, you're going to allow the West Coast Championship identifier in your event, right?
So Yakabas, you can use either a West Coast Championship qualifier or West Coast Championship identifier, a KBF identifier, or a Yakabas identifier. It doesn't matter. For this one, we're usually really strict on it. But with so many identifiers out there, this is the easiest one that we can allow guys to just write extra numbers on a different identifier, and we'll make it work on our end.
But West Coast Championship, it's got to be the WCC identifier, and KBF, it's got to be the KBF identifier.
And then I believe there might even be one for Lakeport. I haven't heard from them to verify though.
Okay, yeah, but they're probably going to accept any of the above, I would guess.
Last year, they gave out identifiers when anglers went and got their raffle ticket.
When they registered. Okay.
They registered, and you go to the shop to get your free raffle ticket to be entered in the raffle. They gave us identifiers last year. So I expect them to do the same this year.
And I think they're letting people register there in the shop up until the day before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we close on the 16th at 11:59. And that's how we have the numbers ready to go before you guys even launch. I will have all the numbers posted on the group pages, so you know exactly what you're fishing for.
That's great. Yeah, they're good folks there. They'll take good care of you. Couple little things about sponsorship, not much, and then we can jump more into some rules stuff. We've got a handful of great sponsors this year. Amphibia sunglasses. That one's yours, James. What do you have any idea what we're doing with them this year?
The top placing angler who has already registered with Amphibia by emailing Zach Christensen is going to win a $50, basically a gift card or a check, just for owning a pair of sunglasses. So you still have time, go out, get a pair of those sunglasses. You can order them through Zach. He can actually get you a discount for those. You could be entered into the actual contingency and basically make half the money you just spent on a pair of glasses back, just by being the highest placing angler.
Super. And will we have any of their stuff at the weigh-in?
I don't think so. Zach's come with some personal stuff, so I don't think he's going to make it out there.
Okay.
I was trying. I'll have my set out there if anyone wants to try a pair on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The other guys have them too, but they're great glasses. They float and they have really nice lenses. I've been really excited about them.
That's super. Next up is Ego Fishing. They're a great sponsor of a lot of the events that I work with, and I will have a couple of their 30-liter dry bags that we'll be giving away. They're $130 value. They're fantastic, really cool dry bags. And I'll have 3 of their you go fishing wade nets, which are what a lot of our guys use. They're a floating net, so they're perfect for the kayak, and they've got handles about that long, so they're just the right length for a kayak as well. Ram mounts, I'll have a couple of things from Ram mounts. Their power pole, which is for mounting a camera, and the X grip, which is super for a phone, especially on native kayaks. It works really cool because you can fit it right on top of the pedal drive. And then Z Pro. Z Pro, one thing we've got with Z Pro this year is this contingency program, which is pretty neat. So if you already own a Z Pro battery, you have opportunities to win more money. Let's see. If you get first place and you're using a Z Pro battery, you win an additional $500. Second place with a Z Pro battery, you win $300. And third place with a Z Pro battery, you win $200. So if you're looking for a lithium battery before the event, get a Z Pro, you might win a little bit of extra cash. And I think they're going to have some stuff for us there too. I'll talk to him about that and see what we might have for them at the weigh-in. Do you know if he's coming? Have you talked to Michael about that? Is he going to be there?
He didn't say he was going to be there. That'd be awesome.
Okay. I'll reach out to him. I'll see if he's interested and has the time. He's a pretty busy guy, so he might not be able to, but
yeah.
But we'll find out. Okay. What else is on our list to try and go over that we know people are going to ask about rules wise? What about measuring boards? What are our rules on measuring boards?
Catch board only.
Catch only. Can be the carbonate though. That's allowed, right? Doesn't have to be the metal board. We don't allow the folding board, the giant folding board, I assume.
No, you're not going to catch a fish that big. Maybe a catfish.
I mean, that's really for the people who fish for muskies and giant catfish. That's about it. Identifier we went over. Mark, James, you got anything else, or should we open it up to the peanut gallery?
All I've got left is just going over numbers, what they are currently.
The money numbers?
Oh yeah.
Oh, let's do that. That's more exciting. Let's do that, and then we'll do Q&A last.
All right. So first, I'll start off with the Yakka bass. Right now we're only at 52 anglers. That's gonna change.
Your thing is covering the webcam.
So we're at 52 right now. So you're probably not even half of what we should end up at. So we'll see. But right now, 52 anglers, first place, $1,290. Second, 967. Third is 548. Fourth is 233, and fifth is 186. Then we've got the additional money that we're going to be doing for big fish. So you have your big limit, big fish. Basically, they're going to be paid out the same. It's just a higher dollar donation is basically all it is. So one's a 40, one's a 20. Your $40 entry fee is going to be $1,474. The $20 entry fee is $640. So that's going to be paid out. Then we also have Jackpot, which is going to be going for both WCC and Yakka Bass. They're going to be two separate payouts, but it's basically the same. So what that is it's a high dollar option that's only paying out 3 places, and it's paying out the top 3 places that buy in. So if you didn't buy in and you got first place, it might drop down to second, third, fourth place is getting this extra money. So don't leave money on the table. Make sure when you sign up for the extra additional money. So right now for Yakka Bass, it's $756 for first, $453 for second, and $302 for third. Then we go over to the West Coast Championship. We're at 94 anglers. So first place right now, well, I believe we're actually at 95, but the time I did this was 94. First place is $6,782. Then $4,695, $2,435, and then it's basically $1,000 down from there. Your side pots. So we are doing the Jackpot for the West Coast Championship as well. So first place for that is $1,886. Second place is $1,131, and third place is $734. And then we're doing a big fish for day 1 and day 2 with a total payout after that. So day 1, $704. Day 2, $704. So, and then also the biggest bass of the entire tournament is going to be $2,112. So that's with all of that. Now, where's my big number? Uh-oh. Too many pages, guys. Hold on. There it is. Okay. So KBF Trail. So Trail right now for first place at 40 anglers for Trail 1 is 2,207. Trail, so that's day 2 is at 34 anglers, so that's 1,925. And then the Pro at 19, basically 20 anglers, is 1,758. So basically, if you win KBF Trail 1, 2, and Pro, Yakabas, Big Fish 1 and 2, and Jackpot, plus the West Coast Championship, Jackpot, and Big Fish, total payout for first place will be $21,534. 21, and we still have what, 5 days to register?
Yeah, we're at 95 right now, and
Number is
I
gonna
know there's a
double.
lot of people who haven't signed up yet.
Yeah,
So
somebody
yeah,
posted,
you're looking at roughly $21,000 if you sweep. That's if you're signed up for everything. If you're not signed up for everything, I recommend that you are. But that's also not including the KBF contingency stuff that they've got going and the Lakeport bait and tackle. I didn't factor that into that price either.
Oh,
So
okay. So that's not even in there.
yeah, that's not even in there. And that's only at the numbers that we have as of right now. I really think first place is going to be closer to 40,000 by the time we hit Thursday.
Right? It easily could be by the time more people sign up. The other thing to think about there is if you're kind of waiting to see how things go to sign up, make sure you sign up for the deadlines that are approaching on time. Don't wait until you get there and start pre-fishing. Lakeport bait and tackle, yeah, you can go there right before and sign up at the last minute. But don't wait. Obviously, don't wait to sign up for the West Coast Championship. And
No.
yeah, make sure you pay attention to those deadlines because they're not all the same. There's a couple of different deadlines. Man, that's insane.
yeah, so there's
Easily
a
over
question,
20 grand. And
question in chat about how many anglers we had last year. We had 105 last year. And we're clearly on track to surpass that pretty handily this year.
oh yeah.
Just guessing. Then the next question is by James. He says, if a public boat launch is closed to boats, but we can launch our kayak, can we launch there?
Sometimes.
So
Yeah.
yes,
That's-
actually, as long as it's not a private launch, it's a public launch, and it is run by Clear Lake, the actual county. They have deemed it that all launches, whether they are fit to be used by a boat or not, you can launch a kayak there, no matter what. It's
Well,
probably-
obviously, if there's a sign or a rope or something saying no access, don't do it. But yeah, I think Mark and I both did that last year. We launched in an area that the boats couldn't get down to the ramp because the water was too low, but we were able to, no problem.
it might be money, but as long as it's not totally roped off, launch there, have fun, drag through the mud.
Yeah, for example, State Park. Yeah, James, last year State Park was it was closed to boats but open for kayaks. And Barretos is fair games. It is open. It is private, but they allow anyone in the public to launch there, and anyone can pay the fee to launch there. So Barretos is open for everyone.
Now that's if they decide to open early.
Yeah,
Another
they do have hours, and sometimes they they might not open as early as you'd like to normally get to the ramp. So, I mean, that's something, if you communicate to those folks, they're pretty good. They'll say, yeah, we're going to open at 5 tomorrow for everybody. And we've never had, James, have we ever had a problem with folks launching out of Barretos or them not being open?
No, but I guess as of yesterday, they've only had 2 people reach out. So they weren't planning to open until 6 a.m. So if you want to launch out of there, even if you think you want to, call them and let them know. I'm going to also give them a call just to let them know that a herd may be coming. But if you can call and let them know that you want to actually fish it, it's probably going to have a little bit more gravity than just a tournament director calling. I guess they got burned by BBT last tournament they ran. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'll probably fish out of Barretos at some point, and I'll definitely talk to the staff there, and then we'll get word out.
That's great. We had a question about the judging. It's the judge that James uses for Yakka bass, is who'll be judging it. James will have access as well. Mark and I don't have access to the judging on it. We can't see any of that. He and I will be fishing. You're not fishing, right, James?
No, I'm going to be sitting in my Airbnb board looking at fish all day. I'm going to be jealous.
Yeah.
So if I'm cranky at the awards, you know why.
Yeah, and William's saying, I guess there was a sign and a rope at the state park, but they were allowing kayakers to launch there. So just be sure you know what you're doing and don't do something that you're not supposed to. If there's ever a concern about it, call James, call me, call Mark, call one of us and find out, and we'll get an answer for you. If we don't know off the top of our head, we'll get an answer really quickly for you.
Yeah, and the staff at State Park is very helpful. They're, when you enter the park, you have to pay the fee if you're camping there or whatever. You can ask them a ton of questions, and they're very helpful too. Every year that I've gone through there, they've answered any question that I've had. So
that's great. We've got a question about awards. Are they for all events at the same place and time? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If somebody in the room here has a question,
score,
you can start raising your hand. We'll get to you right away here.
Yeah. So if you're keeping score for awards, that means that there'll be awards every day.
Yeah.
At the lake there, just depending on what tournament, right?
I may talk to Lakeport and see if they want to move their awards to Saturday just to kind of make it a little easier on everyone. But that's up to them whether they want to move their awards to Saturday or not. I would think it would be a better idea, but it's their event, so
sure, their call.
I'll stop in and talk to them too, James. Maybe if all of us go in there like, hey, you gonna do your awards on Saturday?
Yeah, I'll give them a call. They're really receptive, and they really want to help the community. So if it makes it easier on the anglers, they'll probably be okay with it. We'll just have to make sure that not everyone is going to be leaving. So I know there's a couple people that are only coming to fish that event because they have stuff going on. So if they're in the money, they may have to figure that out. So we'll talk to them.
Great.
All right. So I see some more questions here. How's the reception? I have AT&T and have never had a problem up there.
I have Verizon and it was really good.
Yeah, I have Verizon. I've never had an issue.
If you've got Sprint or T-Mobile, I don't know, you may have some issues in some of the areas, but you won't have any trouble in Lakeport, I'm sure. And we've got a question about check-ins, which was one thing I wanted to bring up was virtual check-in. We're going to be using virtual check-in, check-out, James.
Of course. We want to make sure that you get on the water safe. We want to make sure you're off the water safe.
Yeah, so if you're using Tourney X, for example, when you get to the launch, be sure to check in Tourney X, go to the check-in in the app, go to the check-in page and check in. And then when you get off the water, check out. And if you're moving locations, if you're getting off the water and then going somewhere else, check out when you get off the water, go where you're going to launch again, check in, get on the water. When you get off, check out. It's the best way for us to know that you made it safely off the water. We will be checking everybody at the end. There is a new feature in Tourney X too that will remind you that you need to check in. I'm not sure if you've selected that yet, James, but we should do that, select that feature. And
Yes, sir. It's already
push. It sends a push in the morning and in the afternoon to remind people to check in and check out.
Yep.
Somebody, Dominic Doan said T-Mobile is solid. Thanks, Dom.
Oh, great.
Can
you repeat?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Something about, can you repeat the acceptable? Like, oh, they just want us to repeat what identifiers are acceptable. So the West Coast Championship is only the West Coast Championship identifier. That's it. Nothing else will be accepted. So don't.
KBF is KBF.
And
Yeah,
same thing with
KBF is
KBF.
Yeah. And Lakeport Bait and Tackle may have their own. We'll find out when we get up there.
And Yakabas, you're taking any of the identifiers that
KBF. This one, you can use any of them.
Yeah. For those of you, somebody asked about using the identifier from like my series. No, you can't use that in any of them. You can't use the KFNW identifier in any of these tournaments. So leave it at home.
And then William asked a question, if there is a private launch, but they say they will open it up to people to launch, will that be allowed?
That's a little sketchy.
It's a little sketchy. This one's come up every year because people are like, well, my Airbnb said anybody can come launch there.
I don't buy it. If anybody shows up, 30 people show up there at any time early in the morning and want to launch there, I bet you they don't allow it.
Yeah.
So what he's talking about is what
He's talking about the marina in Soda Bay.
The marina is different. Yeah.
Yeah, the marina in Soda Bay, it is a private launch, but he allows everyone to launch for a fee. To me, that's exactly like Barretos. Barretos is a marina, and he allows folks to launch out of his facility. It is a little harder to find that one, but I know exactly what he's talking about, and I don't have a problem with that one. What do you say, James?
No, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of parking there, but yep.
Fishing Chaos, check in, check out feature on that as well. I assume they should be doing that in Chaos.
Yes.
Somebody asked that question.
I have no idea what launches are open and what aren't open.
Yeah, Dom,
we won't know till we get there.
We're not going to know until we get up there and put eyes on the water.
And we'll do some announcements about that, what we do know, or you can ask. But, I always recommend people spend a little time before, if you're not sure where you're going to launch, go and drive around and check out the launches before you even pre-fish and just know what your options are. Certainly don't wait until morning of. And I mean, some people are getting there Thursday night, and those people need to talk to other people and talk to us or talk to other anglers and find out if they're not going to be able to do any pre-fishing, then make sure you know where you're going. You can launch and it's going to be accessible to whatever vehicle you've got, or if you've got a trailer. And if you need to wet launch from a trailer, make sure you're going. There won't be a lot of places you can do that.
No, probably just the launch in Lakeport. Yeah, Fifth Street,
right near the weigh-in. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that is a good point because a lot of anglers are trailering nowadays. And I will tell you, with the water levels up there, Lakeport is probably the only launch that'll be able to take a trailer right now. I haven't looked at Clear Oaks ramp lately, but I mean, last year it was quite, kayaks could launch out of it, but it got to the point where boats could no longer launch out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. There were a lot of launches that the boats just couldn't do it.
And so, if you are trailering a boat, that's a good point. Make sure you know where the end of the ramp is. They usually do a pretty good job of marking the end of the ramp because you don't want one of your trailer tires going off the edge, especially if you're in a sedan.
Are you speaking from experience?
Not personal experience.
Not this guy. Plenty of YouTube videos out there. Let's see. Is there any more? Clear Lake Oaks is pretty bad. Yep. Friends had to use the beach. Barretos is bad for a trailer. It is when the water is low. Barretos is definitely bad for a trailer, and parking becomes a challenge there. Launch at State Park. It depends on what the water is sitting at. Normally a trailer's fine there, but if it's really bad, it could be questionable. Maybe you trailer it to the ramp and then put it on wheels and just wheel it down the ramp.
That's what I do. I mean, I have
Maybe-
a trailer, but I can just take it off the trailer and roll it wherever I need to go.
Yeah, I mean, if your primary means of transportation of your boat is a trailer, you probably should bring some wheels with you just in case.
Definitely.
Because I'd hate for someone to get up there and find they can't launch somewhere or get
Well,
down.
yeah, like you said, they'll probably have to launch at Lakeport. That'll be their only choice if they want to wet launch. And there's a couple anglers that fish in my club that they wet launch all the time. So yeah, they'll have to think about that if they're coming.
Yep, and all ramps with this many anglers will definitely have, a lot of your friends out there with you.
Yeah. Anybody in the room here got a question? Raise your hand if you got a question. Everybody's just looking at us. Come on. I know you got questions.
Do we have to check out from the same launch where we checked in at?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you were doing a float, if you and somebody else had two vehicles and you're going from one ramp to another ramp, you could do that, I guess.
Launch
But
at Paredes and check out at Clear Lake Oaks. I tell you what, I got a motor and that's a haul.
A haul.
If you have someone drop you off,
That's
I mean,
possible.
the key point is, like I said earlier, if you're getting off the water and going somewhere else, then you need to check out and check back in. If you're just traveling from one spot to another, I mean, you'd have to have a buddy that's got another vehicle there. But
Yeah.
that's okay. That's fine. You're not
there's
going to get dinged for it.
Is float allowed? Yeah.
Yeah,
don't-
a float.
there's no
Yeah.
issues.
So yeah, you can do a float. Sure.
You can do a float, but can you guys hear me? Can you do a float, but it has to also be a public launch ramp as well, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. You can't
still
like
can't do
launch.
anything private. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't launch at Paredes and go to your Airbnb and check out.
Okay.
that
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Okay, cool.
And
Just
look,
wanted to clear that
We're
up.
talking
Yeah, you
about a lot of
can't-
money, and there'll be a lot of eyes out there,
Yeah.
so you will get caught.
You can't launch on private and then go to a public and say, that's my launch. You can't do that either. You've got to get there by some other means, a vehicle, your bicycle, whatever.
So everything has to be public.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
David, I think you've got a question for us.
Yeah, so you talked about the zebra mussel permits. Are there any other permits we have to? I couldn't find anything, but just
Just
want
your
to make
fishing
sure.
license. Yeah, the fish and the mussels are only required if you've got a trailer or a motor. So if you've got one of those two, like I car topped last year, so I didn't need to get it. But if you have a trailer, even if you're not wet launching, but you have a trailer, you still have to get that sticker. You got to get an inspection and that sticker. And of course, you got to get your fishing license.
Where do we get it inspected? Just
You can
at the
do it
border?
at, Mark was saying you could do it at the state park. And I know you can do it at any of the 3 tackle shops that are right there in town. You've got Clear Lake Bait and Tackle, Limit Out, and Lakeport Bait and Tackle.
I got mine
Any
at-
of those places can do it.
I've gotten mine at Lakeport the last 2 years. Before that, I did a state park one time.
Yeah, like James said, everybody should stop by Lakeport anyway. So
Yeah, you're getting a free raffle ticket for the award ceremony, so you might as well just swing in there, get your free raffle ticket, and have them do the kayak inspection.
that's right. Thanks, David. You can unraise your hand. Rick. Doesn't
Can
say,
you hear?
but I recognize you.
On that's where you can't fish past that bridge. There is a launch ramp on the other side of that bridge. Can you launch there and then come into inbounds?
I don't think you'll be able to, but check it out. I don't think there'll be enough water.
It's a mud pit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you check it out. Last
No,
year-
we're looking at an old Google map and we're just trying to check all our options is what we're trying to do.
It's tough to go off Google Maps right now because the water's so low. It just doesn't match what you're going to find on the map. You'll see when you get there. You kind of have to just go out, and you really need to check out each of the launches you're thinking about, because some of them you can't do like a regular launch. Like you've got to walk down and around, and
Yeah, we're going to come in on Tuesday afternoon and we'll take a look at everything.
yeah,
So,
you'll be fine. You'll have plenty of time to check out. It's a big lake and it takes a while to get all the way around, but you'll have plenty of time to check stuff out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
See any other questions? I see someone, if we cross the lake and it gets too windy to the point where we cannot cross back, what are our options? Check off, get safely ashore, check off the water and call a friend to come get you.
That's
We've
right.
we've seen Greg Blanchard do that a ton of times.
Or just don't put yourself in that
Yeah, or
situation.
don't put
Yeah.
yourself in that
Yeah.
position. You're
Pay attention to
absolutely
the weather forecast. Don't get out there that far if you think it's going to get sketchy. But yeah, try and call a friend if you're out there alone. If you don't know anybody else there and you're there alone, contact us and we'll put out a feelers to everybody about who's nearby this person and has a trailer or a truck they can throw their kayak in.
Quick question. So at this point, we are only using 2 identifiers and we can put multiple codes on per identifier. So we're at West Coast Championship identifier and then the KBF identifier. And you could put multiple codes like the Yakabass and maybe the Lakeport identifier code on there too. But there's only 2 right now, right? As of right now?
2 or 3. We're not sure about Lakeport. We need to
Okay.
check with them. But yeah, it's either, and it depends on what you're fishing. If you're not fishing KBF, then one identifier will work for everything.
Right.
Maybe Lakeport.
Is it okay to put day 2s on the same ID and just cross off the day 1?
It doesn't matter as long as they're all legible and clear.
Okay.
That's all that's important. As long as it's the right identifier and it's clear and easy to read. Use a Sharpie for your identifiers. Don't use a pencil. Don't use a fine point pen. Use a Sharpie. And if you're using a tourney tag that's got plastic over it, watch out for the glare. If the glare is hitting your identifier and it's blowing out and they can't read the code when they're judging it, sorry, you're going to get denied. That fish isn't going to get accepted. Even if we know you've got the right code, you could have caught a fish 2 minutes before it. But if that one submission photo isn't legible, it's going to get denied.
Ken's got a question here. It says, is there a list of launch areas available? We don't have a list of launch areas available. And we're really, until we get up there, we're not going to know what areas are even going to be open for launching right now, Kent.
But yeah, and that's the thing with kayak tournaments. You can't really rely on us to tell you every launch that you can go to. It's on you to get out there and find where you want to launch from and make sure that it's public and that it's an allowable launch.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like State Park last year, the water was so low, you could launch out of State Park, but if you had a pedal kayak, you had to paddle out of the channel. So there's going to be a lot of places where normal launches, the water is shallow. It may be it takes some effort to get out to the water, or but some like a traditional boat ramp, there's probably only Lakeport and maybe Clear Oaks launch where it's and Barretos are probably ramps. The rest of it is going to be some work. Oh, and Redbud, yeah. Well, yep, Redbud.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd park my car in Redbud, just personally. And that's a point too, you guys. If you've never been to Clear Lake, drive around, check it out. If you can get some, you got to do a lot of sight fishing with Google Maps and your eyes. That's my recommendation. I've fished it 4 or 5 times now, and it's different every year. And until I get up there, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, totally. Keep your stuff locked up. Don't carry a bunch of extra gear and leave in your car when you're out in the water, especially some areas, depending on where you're launching. There's some sketcherific people around sometimes. So just, don't be dumb.
I don't know. Is there any more questions?
There's a couple in here that I'm trying to make sense of here. I don't know what that's about. There was a tackle shop last year charging people who didn't actually need the sticker. So be aware of that. Yeah, you don't need the sticker unless you've got a trailer or a motor. If you have a trailer or a motor, you need the sticker. So that's all. Who else? Anybody else got a question for us? I know you do. You're just afraid to ask.
Let's see.
Anybody launch recently that could tell us the conditions of the launch ramp? Trick
So
question there.
I think Dom, you fished. Didn't you fish the BASS event?
No, I didn't fish it anytime recently. I wouldn't DQ myself.
so
I did fish ABA though. I
ABA,
fished
that's
it. Yeah, I fished ABA. That was, I don't know, that was like I think that was 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago. But I know that Brados was pretty bad when we were there. I mean, you could put a trailer in, but probably like a foot or two. You can't put your trailer all the way in. I don't think. You have to push it off. And I think that was it. There was another one, but the same deal. Like you have to push the kayak off. You can't put your trailer all the way in. So I think most people will be. It would benefit to bring their trailer or their wheels, their kayak wheels
Definitely.
to all the launch ramps. Like,
Start doing your push-ups.
yeah,
It
mandatory.
would have been a real pain where we launched last year without wheels. It would have been impossible, not impossible, but a pain. Hey, James, talk to us a little bit about the identifier placement in their submission photo. I know KBF rules are slightly different than mine, and we had an issue with that in an event not too long ago, where someone had put the identifier in a place that it's not supposed to be.
all right, so your identifier, you want to make sure it's at least a full marking or a full inch mark behind the tail. So if your tail is at 21 and a half, make sure you're way past 22.
Don't
So-
cover the numbers with the identifier.
Yeah, we want to make sure we can see that it says 22. Otherwise, we're taking a guess and it's going to go into the judge's favor, not the angler's. So just don't even give the judge the option for that. Your identifier cannot be placed on your fish. So don't let it be covering your fish. Don't let it sitting directly on the fish. Get a tourney tag, put it off to the side, put it on your lap, something. We need to be able to visually see it. And it needs to be legible. We're not going to allow partial codes, partial identifiers. I know we've done it in some of the other events in the past, but not for the West Coast Championship. So you're going to want to make sure you have the full identifier in the photo with the full code and it's legible. So if you cut off half your identifier, that fish isn't going to count this year, guys. Make sure it's there. And I'm pretty sure KBF is all the same way.
Yeah, I think KBF has, this is what happened with us, is we have a distinction in our rules from the way KBF does it, where I think they will allow you to have the tourney tag like on your hand and your hand is on top of the fish. We don't allow that in ours. If it's anywhere on top of the fish, whether it's on a hand or an arm or anything, we don't allow it. But I think KBF does. I don't want to necessarily speak for them because I'm not affiliated with them, but I think that they will. But you know, it's the same thing James is talking about with where you put the identifier on the board. Why are you leaving it up to the judge to say, yeah, that's okay or not? Put it somewhere that you know it's safe. Put it somewhere above the fish, below the fish, to the right of the tail, to the left of the head, whatever, just somewhere that it's not covering any part of the fish. And then you don't have to worry about it. It's safe.
Yep.
What else? What are some of the other things we regularly?
You just asked a question about nav lights. If you're under power 360, if you don't have a motor, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we require it in ours, you know, and it's a Coast Guard regulation. So definitely you should have a flag, and you should have a 360 light on your kayak. The 360 light is only important, obviously, early in the morning. When it's kind of dark. Once the sun's up, that's not a big deal, but you should have a flag too. I mean, there's not going to be as many power boats out there because of the launch situation, but there will be boats. So you want to be sure you're seen. Plus some of these guys with the Torpedo 1103, they'll just blow right past you too. If you don't have a flag, they can't see you.
Let's put it on the NAR, going 7 miles an hour.
Yeah, I see that now, William. Thanks. Sorry about that. Another question here: can the turning tag be in the middle of the fish, above it, not covering any portion of it?
When you say in the middle of the fish, that those words bother me. It can't
Yeah.
be on the fish, and it can't be on your hand and then on the fish. It should be, it can be above the fish, you know. Like if I've got a board right here.
Yeah, I didn't bring my board.
I've got a board here. If my filter will work with it, I've got to put it on top of me. Yeah, it can be up here or down here. It should not be here. I've got half a board here. That's weird. A filter.
Yeah, most.
And I'm not fishing, by the way, behind me. So I'm not breaking off limits, just FYI.
So with the off limits, just to let you guys know, I've already had a DQ one, well, multiple anglers for that. Wasn't part of the West Coast Championship, but it was part of the Akabas, and we're following the same rules of off limits. And they just didn't pay attention. So yeah, they had to DQ themselves. Luckily, it's a really nice father and his kids. They actually run the food and allergy tournament out of Clear Lake.
Oh yeah, sure. I met them last year.
Unfortunately, they went out fishing last weekend and it was off limits. So they aren't fishing the events this year, unfortunately.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
yeah, hopefully they're still going to come out and fish. They're great people and I love to have them around.
They are.
But that's sportsmanship. Right, straight up, those guys, they knew they did something wrong when they found out, reached out to me. I gave them their money back. I didn't keep it because they came and DQ'd themselves.
Yeah, that's great. They did the right thing. That's a class move. Well, let's talk a little bit about launch time versus lines in time. Remind everybody about that. Launch time means you can launch, does not mean you can fish. And you can't, like, when we say launch time, like you can put your kayak in the water and beach it or put it on a dock or something, but you can't like go out 30 yards from the shore and wait until time and then take off. You need to be at the launch, at launch time, not out on the water.
But with giving the other anglers enough respect to allow them to launch,
That's
whether
right.
boat
That's right.
or the kayak.
That's
If
right.
someone
Give everybody room.
get out of their way.
And, you know, we don't have any kind of motor delay for this, but you guys with motors, be respectful of the people who are launching in front of you in a paddle kayak or a pedal kayak. And if you're launching right behind them, you know, don't take off and wake them or bump into them because they're in your way. Give them a chance to get out of the way and then work around them, especially if it's a busy launch.
Yeah.
Fishing around other people. You know, again, just be really respectful to people. If there's any question about whether you're encroaching on someone's position, you know what the answer is? Ask them. Ask them if you're getting in their spot. Ask them what direction they're going. Ask if you can fish here if they're going that way. Make sure it's cool. If they're there first, they've got rights to it. They've got rights to fish it first, and you need to work around them, not vice versa. But yeah, just be respectful and ask people. We don't have any kind of specific about number of yards from somebody or something, do we?
I think it's 50 yards.
50 yards.
If you're within 50 yards, that person better be your buddy or giving you permission. Because otherwise they're just gonna reach out and slap you with their paddle. There's enough money on the line. Someone's gonna get knocked out of a boat this year.
Let's hope not. But
If
yeah,
that can happen,
you know,
give us a call so we can come at least get video of it.
that's right.
I saw something in there about a mandatory meeting on board check. This is your meeting. You guys are grown-ass men and women. You know exactly what you need to be doing, and you know what board you should be using. If you are found to be cheating in any way, you will be prosecuted. So we're not going to make you show up someplace and bring us a board or do any other meetings. This is it. Otherwise, you guys are on your own. You're gonna go have fun. If you have questions, we're always here to help. But there's no other meetings other than this. Just make sure you read the rules a couple times to make sure that you know exactly what you can and can't do. And if you have questions, pick up the phone, let us know. We're here to help.
That's one of my people probably, because we do that. We do, but with this many people and on this big a lake, it's just not feasible. We can't do it. So
Somebody
yeah,
asked about the check in, check out on, after you check out on Tourney X and you can't relaunch and head back to another launch, right? I check out of Tourney X means you're off the water for a minute a day. So
no,
we talked about this a little earlier. I know somebody probably joined late, but if you get off the water to move spots, so check in when you get on the water, check off when you get off the water, and then check back in at another ramp if that's what you're doing. That way we have good idea where, not where you're at, but that you're safe. That's really all it is. We don't care where you're at, just that you're safe.
yeah, it's common sense if you think about it, people. What we're trying to establish is the last place that we know you were, in case we have to come out looking for you. If somebody goes missing and we have to send search and rescue out and we have to go out, we need to know where you were, where you last launched, and it's great if we can see that you checked out, then we know you're not on the water anymore and we can breathe a sigh of relief that you're not, turned over somewhere in the middle of the lake.
But yes, so the checkout time is 2:30. You're off the water at 2:30. That doesn't mean you're checking out at one launch and then motoring over, pedaling over to another launch to take out. You are off the water at 2:30.
That's right. There's no checkout deadline. There's a lines out deadline when you can't be fishing anymore. But the checkout should happen when you get off the water. But if you forget, you're driving to the weigh-in and then you remember and check out, that's fine. You're not going to get dinged for that. Just do it as soon as you remember to do it.
And there will be a push notification as well.
Yeah.
Check out.
You'll get a push.
I think that kind of wraps it up. Cindy, we've been going at it an hour.
All right. Last chance. Any questions? Super. Well, we'll be around. I'm sure you'll come up with some questions before now and next week and ask us, but hopefully this will cover a lot of the people that have got questions.
Can I just ask one last question? Is it the earliest launch time all across the board at 5:30 a.m.?
Yes.
What do you
Okay.
mean? What are you getting at there?
KBF, Lakeport,
The different tournaments. Got it.
the different tournaments. Yeah.
That's what I didn't follow. Yeah, they're all all the same times, right, James?
Yeah, I made sure that everyone was following the same times. Even Lakeport decided to use our off limit. So if all your fishing is Lakeport, you're in off limits time still. So everyone's basically following the same thing. The only real differences are going to be a couple deductions, I would say. So
Yeah.
if you
Open
got
mouth sort of stuff. Yeah.
we're a little bit stricter.
Keep those mouths closed. For those people who fish my tournaments, they're used to that. We have very strict rules about that. But if the mouth is not completely closed, you're going to get dinged. Your score is going to get dinged. And there's plenty of tournaments I see one on a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. So one little mistake, like one slightly cracked mouth, can really hurt you.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, everybody. We'll see you on the water at Clear Lake, hopefully.
See you next week.